新年快乐! And for those of you who don't speak Chinese, Happy New Year. Ten years ago today, I happened to be in Beijing, China during Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year is based around the lunar calendar and can happen anytime between late January and the middle of February, and spans 15 days. If you've ever experienced a Chinese New Year celebration, there are two things that probably stick out in your mind. There's a lot of red and it's very loud with a whole lot of fireworks. And there's a reason for that. An ancient story describes a monster called Nian who would come out on New Year's Eve and devour villagers, crops, and livestock, especially young children. The villagers learned that Nian was afraid of the color red and loud noises, so every year they'd wear red, set off firecrackers, and play drums to ward off Nian and protect themselves from bad fortune. On top of these traditions, there are many foods which are customary to be eaten on specific dates throughout that 15-day celebration. Some of these foods include dumplings, fish, and longevity noodles. But you might be surprised to learn that one dessert that is now synonymous with Chinese food is nowhere to be seen on Chinese New Year. The fortune cookie. That excitement at the end of a meal which leaves us on a sweet note with a fortune for our futures. And for some reason lottery numbers, I never got that part. Fortune cookies are generally comprised of egg, sugar, flour, and vanilla flavoring, all baked and wrapped around a paper fortune. In America, they're synonymous with Chinese food. But how did that come to happen? The story itself is unfortunately complicated. The first traces of the fortune cookie come out of the 1800s in Kyoto, Japan. There's a similar shaped cookie called the suji or a senbei, which was darker in color and savory in flavor as opposed to sweet. These cookies sometimes contained a fortune called an omakuji, tucked in the bend of the cookie as opposed to hiding it inside. But how did this version come about? This story is a battle between San Francisco and Los Angeles. San Francisco claims the cookie was originally served in the late 1890s by Makoto Hagawara at Golden Gate Park's Japanese Tea Garden located in San Francisco. Los Angeles claims the cookie was originally invented in 1918 by David Jung, founder of Hong Kong Noodle Company in Los Angeles. In 1983, the dispute made its way all the way to San Francisco's Court of Historical Review. During the proceedings, a fortune cookie was introduced as a key piece of evidence with a message inside. San Francisco judge who rules for Los Angeles, not very smart cookie. Later, a federal judge of the court determined the cookie originated with Hagawara and ruled in favor of San Francisco. The city of Los Angeles has since condemned the decision. As to why it's now referred to as the Chinese fortune cookie? The story isn't well documented, but one theory states that during the Japanese-American internment during World War II, many of the Japanese Americans who had originally been producing the cookie were forcibly put into internment camps. And so the Chinese saw the opportunity and started producing the cookie to cover the shortage. Now over 3 billion fortune cookies are made each year around the world, the majority of which are consumed in the United States. And now that we know the origin, only one question remains. How do we make them? To make fortune cookies, we'll need the following. For our wet ingredients, we'll need egg whites, vanilla extract, almond extract, vegetable oil, and water. For our dry ingredients, we'll need all-purpose flour, cornstarch, sugar, and of course, fortunes. There are different variations of the recipe. I tried a bunch, and this one worked the best and most reliably for me. In a medium bowl, lightly beat together your egg whites, vanilla and almond extracts, and vegetable oil until frothy, but not stiff. Then sift flour, cornstarch, and sugar into a separate bowl. Whisk the water into the flour mixture. Then add your wet ingredients to your dry ingredients and again whisk until smooth. The batter shouldn't be runny but should fold into nice ripples. Here's where it starts to get tricky. You only want to eat 2 to 3 at a time because once you take them out of the oven, they immediately start setting, and if you're not quick enough, you won't be able to shape them. Using a tablespoon, pour out 2 to 3 cookies onto a Silpat lined baking sheet and using the back of the tablespoon, shape the batter into a 3-inch circle. Then put them in the oven at 300 degrees for 15 minutes. From experience, don't put it at a higher heat. Some recipes call for 425 degrees in 6 to 8 minutes. You might think that's better because you'll be able to get through them a lot faster. But trust me, if you do that, they're going to be insanely hot to the touch, and the insides are going to wind up being chewy instead of crispy, which is not what you're going for. Slide a thin spatula underneath the cookie to loosen it, then flip it over. Repeat with each cookie. Grab a fortune and put it in the middle of the cookie, then quickly fold it along the edges, leaving a gap at each side. Once ready, crimp it over the edge of a mug to get that fortune cookie shape. Then place it in a muffin tin to help it retain its shape while it cools. Then quickly repeat with the others before they set. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 5 for difficulty to make with an 8 for taste. There's a definite learning curve to making these, but fortunately, I'm getting better with each batch that I make. Now, would I continue to make homemade fortune cookies in the future? Honestly, I've never craved a fortune cookie before. But it is a pretty neat party trick to have up your sleeve should you ever need it, and you can add different things to that batter to alter the flavor if you want to. Like for example, earlier in the video, the darker one that you saw was actually a chocolate one that I made. Now if you'll excuse me, I have some fortune cookies to make. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. If you've made this dish before or have your own take on it, share it with us in the comments. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for watching. Look at that. Learn Chinese. If you want to wish your friends Happy New Year's, just say 新年快乐. Or again, 新年快乐. 新年快乐. I'm also putting the tones in the corner of the screen because my pronunciations aren't always the best and my friends are going to rag on me. Happy New Year's, guys.